Donald Trump announced today that he is taking over D.C., and D.C. pushed back and said not so easily, because D.C. rose up today with massive protests that I think are just getting started and going to continue as the week goes on. And Pete Buttigieg was very clear about what this moment means for us and the country. And then I have these awesome protests coming right up.
As we speak, the federal government is taking over the policing of a major American city, Washington, D.C. The president is doing this not in order to make the city safer, that's the job of local law enforcement, but to solve his own political problems. He needs to get his base talking and thinking about something besides his refusal to open up the Epstein files because he's mixed up in them. And he wants the rest of the country focused on something, anything, besides the work that he has done and continues to do to kick millions of Americans off of their health insurance, to close down rural hospitals, and to undermine basic functions of our government in order to pay for tax cuts for the wealthiest. I hesitate to use a word like distraction, even though distraction is part of his goal, because it is a legitimately important thing that he is taking power in this way. And he has threatened to do it in other cities, maybe the community where you live, maybe the community where I live. So how are we supposed to handle this? We have to deal with both. We have to stand up to the dangerous, authoritarian actions that the president is taking and keep a focus on the everyday impacts of his disastrous and unpopular economic policy and budget. We can and must do both.
Can you do both? I can do both. DC is doing both because Donald Trump is extremely unpopular. Maybe the editor, or maybe I'll send him a graph here to show you how unpopular he is, but he is very, very unpopular. And the things he's doing are not helping people. People are going to wake up. Now, DC has already woken up. Look at this shit. DC said, you're not grabbing us by anything, Trump.
Now in the district, you can see people here holding signs, gathering across the city to protest President Trump's federal takeover of the police. The live pictures right now showing you the congregation of marchers here in Northwest D.C. Protesters starting in DuPont Circle. We hear that they are making their way north of 14th Street. They are calling on the president to step down and lay off the district. Of course, we are going to have much more on President Trump's announcement and reaction. That's coming up at 6:30.
That makes me very, very happy. Thank you to every D.C. resident who put their body on the line, went out and said, not enough. I'm going to cover these throughout the week. I'm sure they will get bigger in size as they happen. And we have to go out into the street and say that this is not okay. So if you feel compelled and you feel you're able to, and you feel like this is calling to you, please do it. Because the only thing authoritarians answer to truly is action. And we got to start taking an action, because we have senators like Mike Lee who are just saying that, well, actually, why don't we just give parts of D.C. to Maryland and Virginia? If you want statehood, let's give it to a different state. Residents of D.C. want to be part of a state. The solution is not D.C. statehood. Any solution should involve reverting land ceded by Maryland for the creation of D.C., accepting only a narrow corridor encompassing the White House, Capitol, and Supreme Court to Maryland. That's not what we want, and I don't think that's what anyone is asking for, but it could very well happen. Now, Beto O'Rourke is out here, too, calling this exactly what it is, and literally comparing Trump to Hitler.
We have watched the open display of a criminal network operating in the highest positions of power and public trust. They are scared because they have assumed that there will never be accountability. Remember, Donald Trump promised us he would be a dictator on day one. He promised us that if you vote in the 2024 elections, that's the last time you'll ever have to cast a ballot. It took Hitler just 53 days to destroy German democracy. At every major turn, every time he exceeded his authority, defied the German Constitution, broke down the rule of law in that country, the German press, the German politicians, the German public, most importantly, did too little, too late. So first things first, stop this power grab. Second, win political power in the House. And third, to Brian's question, use that ruthlessly. So that means we investigate everything that I just described. We bring the facts to light. And even if, should the president defy us, and should the courts, a co-equal branch of government, which might be our last recourse, but we cannot hold our breath because we have a Supreme Court that is now the best that money can buy in American history, it will have to be the people. It will have to be the people rising up. Abraham Lincoln, no lesser authority than that man. 1858, he says, look, you have the power of the presidency, the courts, the legislatures. But more powerful than all that is the power of the people. Public sentiment is what he called it. He said, with it, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. John Lewis, 24 years old, 1965, we just heard a reference to it a second ago. He alone, and those who joined him on that bridge, and the thousands more who took to the State House steps, wrote their members of Congress, lit up the switchboard at the White House, they were the ones who gave Lyndon Baines Johnson the power he needed to change our laws so that everyone, regardless of race or gender or country of national origin, could participate in our politics. In 2018, when we had family separation under the first Trump term, you and I rose up and said, hey, we are not down with taking a baby from the arms of her mother after they crossed 2,000 miles of this continent, seeking salvation and refuge in a country comprised of refugees and immigrants from the world over. We forced, through public sentiment, Donald Trump to rescind that zero-tolerance family separation order. It is perhaps the last best power we have for the last best hope of Earth, this country. So, if Democrats win that power, we'll lead the way, expose this corruption, this criminal enterprise being run in the White House. I think the American people will rise up and claim that power that is rightfully ours.
Okay. That felt good. Holy shit. Yes. Yes, and so if you are feeling if you are feeling inspired by that, as I am, then please do know that this is not a foregone conclusion. Donald Trump is extremely unpopular. He needs people to feel like that he is inevitable in order to make things happen that would otherwise get pushed back against. So rise up, speak up, get loud, get mad. I'm going to end with this because I love this. Protests can look like a lot of things, and this is just another way. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like in the video. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
An 8-mile human chain stretched down High Street from Worthington to downtown Columbus today. A show of solidarity and peace connecting people of all ages and all backgrounds. Thanks for being with us this evening. For NBC4 at 6, I'm Kyle Beachy. Organizers say this demonstration today, not a stand against any one issue, but welcomed anyone who feels isolated by our government's actions. Honked and people cheered as they passed by. Over an 8-mile stretch, the demonstrators put down their signs and held hands for a moment of silence at 3 o'clock this afternoon. One of the organizers, Maxine Irvin, says the Trump administration's actions on immigration are a major reason for the protest, but everyone involved has a different reason for showing up.
Everyone has different reasons why they are unhappy. We're just all out here together to show our dissatisfaction and to join together and hold hands to make a statement that we see what's going on and we want change.
Our crew out there today did not see any counter-protesters along High Street this afternoon. That peaceful assembly was not part of a nationwide effort and was locally organized.